Hi folks, welcome to Federal Premium's Vital Zone. This hunt we're getting ready to go look at is opening day of Kansas a few years back, and I can tell you one thing, it was really cold. Let's go right to it. This was the opening day of Kansas a few years back, and I'm telling you, the wind chilled, it was 0 degrees. And we spotted some deer down at the far end of the field. There's a couple of bucks and some does. We had some hay bales right there that gave us perfect cover. And anytime you've got cover, use it to your advantage, keep the wind in your face. And that right there, we walked all the way down the side of those hay bales right there, and we cut our distance in half. We were able to pop over the hay bales and really take a look and see if we had a shooter buck out in front of us. And once our guide and I both looked at this one buck, we could definitely tell he was a shooter buck. He wasn't going to let that doe go anywhere. He was just staying right with her and just kind of going step for step with her. And that's one thing about hunting Kansas, right there. The rut is something to watch. When these deer get to chasing these does, anything can happen. And this old buck right here, he was definitely in love. And once this doe started running, they both started kind of coming right to us, and he was kind of paralleling her. And we were just trying to hope, that he would stop. And you can see the dust and everything coming up from under him. And but he wasn't leaving that doe. Bottom line is, that was his doe, and he wasn't leaving her. So I was just waiting for him to get turned broadside. He finally turned broadside. He's kind of quartering to me a little bit. I knew I had to put the crosshairs a little bit more up to the left because he was quartering to me. He was still right in the middle of his body, but a little bit up to the left. So now let's go look at the shot.
Oh man.
Well, I felt good about the shot. You could definitely see the buck jump up. He didn't go very far, but let's do this. Let's put it in slow motion and go back and see exactly where that bullet hits the deer. You can see the red dot right there. That's a little bit to the right from where I was aiming. It was extremely cold, and I can tell you one thing, I was pretty nervous. But let's do this. Let's go to the Federal Premium Vital Zone and see exactly where that bullet goes through the vitals. You'll notice the bullet coming in right there, and it penetrates the back part of the left lung, hits the top of the liver, and exits out the bottom side of the right lung right there, and that was definitely a fatal shot. One thing about that buck, we didn't have to track him very far. He died right there in the field, probably not 50 yards. One tip that I want to give you right there, because we were kind of hunting some open country right there. We're using spotting scopes and binoculars, and we were spotting the deer at daylight. And we saw these deer over on the edge of the timber right there. We noticed there was a couple of bucks and some shooters. We got the wind right, but the main thing is we had to cut the distance probably in half. And what you want to try to do is use the terrain that you have to do that. Now, we had hay bales. We had a whole bunch of hay bales, so we kind of crawled over and got the hay bales in between us and the deer. We stayed real low, got up to them, and went all the way to the end of those hay bales, and then popped over the top so we could see the deer. Once we did that, we were able to make a shot. But if you're hunting open terrain, use the cover out there to cut your distance, and I promise you, it'll get you a nice buck. All right, folks, that's another buck, part of the Federal Premium Vital Zone.